Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Hawg Talk Podcast Monday edition, presented to you by Sterling Soap Company. And we're coming to you live from the Sterling Soap and Roastery Studios, part of the Believe and Buzz Radio Network, where you can hear us each week on 106.7 Buzz 2 in Central Arkansas. All live shows are presented to you by Arkansas Brewing Company in downtown Ozark. I am Porter Hayes. Alongside me, as always, is Adam Hall, and we have a jam-packed show for you tonight. Recap some of the spring game, talk about Coach Cal's newest addition, and if there may be more coming to the Hill at 6:35, we will have Kyle Sutherland, the publisher of Hawg Beat, to come on and talk about the spring game, Razorback baseball, basketball. But we'll get right into it with the spring game that was held over the weekend. Mixed reactions from it. Adam, I don't know if you had a chance to see any of the post-game comments from Coach Silverfield, but the one positive takeaway I'll take from it is very refreshing to hear a coach critique his players. It is very refreshing for a coach to say what he's seen instead of I don't know. Very refreshing to hear from a head coach.
Yeah, and especially because for the most part, we've been getting or hearing the same things from Coach Silverfield that we've heard from coaches for the last however long. I mean, it's the typical coach speak that we always get. Obviously we have no clips, we have no nothing since they didn't want to stream this game. So just going purely off of looking at the stat lines. I mean, you had Cam Settles 7 carries for 57 yards and a touchdown. Braylon Russell 6 carries, 35 yards. KJ Jackson, 9 for 13 for 129 yards and 1 touchdown. AJ Hill, 9 for 17 for 95 yards and 1 interception. Just looking through, CJ Brown, 3 receptions, 83 yards and a touchdown, which we've talked about. CJ Brown and Chris Marshall, Antonio Jordan, they led Arkansas in receiving. It's one of these things right now that spring games are dying across the board. It's not just Arkansas.
Yeah.
Coaches don't want to do it, and rightfully so. I think for a lot of us, it's the nostalgia of what spring games once were, but that's gone away. You can thank the transfer portal for a lot of that, even though they have changed the window. That's what started coaches not wanting to do the spring games anymore. And you got to think back. I mean, just a few years ago, you had every SEC team streaming or on live TV. Mm-hmm. And you only had a couple this year.
Yeah.
So people don't care anymore.
No. And a lot of it is, like you said, the transfer portal. I mean, that damaged a lot because, I mean, what you're seeing in the spring, you don't know who's going to leave and be there in the fall. A lot of it, too, is in Arkansas's case there's just, I mean, I really hate it for Ryan Silverfield because I'm telling you, the first impression of him, and he promised and what he said and what he was trying to sell rubbed people the wrong way, thinking he was going to just come in and do the best and the greatest of the first class and all this stuff. You come into a situation where you're just trying to go all in. And yes, that's his motto now. But from what he's been saying in interviews and stuff, I've heard him talk. I like the guy, as in he's going to tell it how it is. Mm-hmm. And so I'll take the honesty. This year we are going to be honest. This team is probably going to be very good. And he was talking about it, just catch the ball, catch the damn ball. He was really going after his wide receivers. And it's the fact that for him to say in a practice setting, for him to say in a spring game, this is going to be the easiest part you're going to see, as opposed to your next game, you're going to be playing against other teams. And if you can't catch the ball in this setting, a 7-on-7 or whatever type setting, it's not full on tackle. It's not a full on game. It's just an exhibition. If you can't perform in this easy type setting, how are you going to perform when the lights are on and you're playing against the SEC teams? So I really applaud him for what he was saying after the spring game. But it does go to say of like, okay, what are we going to get from this team? And, you're struggling. It was 14-13. I know they split the teams up. It wasn't directly 1s and 2s, but there was a lot of things. I had a buddy of mine. He was at the game. He just said he was alarmed by a lot of the things that were going on there. They didn't. He said the bright spot of the game was Braylon Russell. He's slimmed down. The way he was hitting the edges, and he did really good. But he said outside of that, he wasn't too impressed with anything else he's seen during the spring game.
Well, I mean, looking at the stats too, a big question that everybody's going to have is who's going to be QB1. I've said since KJ Jackson announced that he was returning that I thought it was ultimately his to lose. I still feel like that. Just looking at the stats from the game, because obviously we don't have any video, we weren't there. I look at AJ Hill and I'm like 9 for 17 with 1 interception. Like that just doesn't sit well with me.
Because they're not rushing. They're not bringing a blitz. And it's, again, that's the easiest you're going to see 100%. In a game setting.
The biggest takeaway I got prior to the game was seeing the black on black Arkansas uniform with the white helmet. Look, so, I like it. We've teased the black jerseys in these spring games. Now we're adding in the black pants for these spring games. Like, as much as I did enjoy the anthracite uniforms, like, give us an all black uniform for one night or something. I mean, quit teasing it.
At night, if you're going to do something, let me pull up.
I don't think we have times yet for.
Well, I'm just saying, if you're going to play a home game, your football home game, you got, say, the Georgia. You want to talk about Georgia at home. If it is at night, Georgia goes all black. So that would be a kind of a cool thing to.
And like this, bring back that chrome red helmet that we've all been wanting since the Alex Collins, what bowl game? Liberty Bowl, I think it was. Yeah. We've all been asking for that helmet to make a return. That was a beautiful helmet.
And if you didn't want to go Georgia game, you could also do Tennessee game would be a good one too, because they play well against Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love it.
Mix it up a little bit at this point. Who cares?
Have some fun. Again, it's you're playing with house money this year.
Yeah.
There's nothing to lose. There's no expectations. I'm sorry they could go 0 whatever. Ryan Silverfield should not be at risk of losing his job because of what he is working with. You don't know who your quarterback is. You don't know who he's going to throw to you outside of, if you want to say KJ's your quarterback and Braylon's your running back. Okay. So 2 of your 11 guys, you're solid on.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to block? Who's blocking for him? Have no knowledge of how deep. And when we have Kyle on, he'll be able to break it down more to give us some insight on, who could Arkansas have this year on the football team?
Apparently they need to go get some of those students that beat the offensive linemen in the tug of war.
Yeah, there's a lot of people, they're talking about 5-on-12, but when you're looking at random students beating 5, it's again, quoting my guy, there's a reason why that was not televised.
And I fully believe that there was a reason that this was not streamed. No cameras, no nothing. It just leaves us, especially like I've talked about for me the last couple of weeks, the uncertainty, the unknown. It just adds to that. It adds to that uncertainty of not knowing. Because spring games are typically supposed to, hey, I know we're not going to answer all the questions because it's only the spring, but maybe we can fill in some blanks, but we don't even get to do that.
Yeah.
So we're still going to have to wait until game 1 to see. And really, game 1, you can't even tell because of who your opponent is.
Yeah.
Was it North Alabama or something like
that?
North
Alabama game 1, and then you go to – but that's the deal. You've got one dress rehearsal to get this ready. Because after North Alabama, you got Utah, Georgia. Don't sleep on Tulsa, and then you got A&M.
Yeah.
So your first 4, it's what I said. If you get past the Tennessee game, so your first 6 games, you can get through that unscathed. There's light at the end of the tunnel, but getting through that brutal first half of your season is what's going to hurt. And there's going to be a guy that up at Utah, he's going to be sitting the bench, but he's going to be rooting extra hard, and his people's going to be rooting extra hard when you go up to Utah and Kane Archer, that he wasn't recruited. That's going to add a little bit of that touch to it. and then you got to play Tulsa. And man, I don't know. I wouldn't be. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I wouldn't be shocked if they win that one.
Mhm.
I mean, and it's not a knock. It's just where we are.
Yeah. Well,
Where
and
this program is.
and we've talked about too, like Ryan Silverfield as a coach. How is he going to put this team in those positions to win those games that are, those one possessions, or even having to claw back from 10 to 14 down or whatever the case may be? So not only are, we're going to be sitting here judging or critiquing the players and the play and whatnot, but a lot of the eyes too it's going to be on Ryan Silverfield and the decisions he makes during these games.
And how does him and his staff, how does he direct his staff to make those second half adjustments? You had a stubborn offensive coordinator. People were glazing him while he was on staff, and now that he's gone, how they've changed on him. You got a bunch of riders that were just all about Bobby Petrino when he was coming. Now he's left, and they have just kicked him to the curb. They're telling other people to stop glazing on him because he ain't done nothing. Yeah, exactly. That's what we have to deal with, and it goes to the fans. We want to get into this tennis situation, this tennis program situation, and it being cut that directs on this football team because this is the generator. This is the revenue generator. And John Neighbors went off on just how it means to him and the fans and everybody to cut this program. And the biggest thing that irritates me about it is people will sit there and say, oh, well, you didn't go to these tennis matches and you didn't support this team and now you're carrying. Is the principle of this was 120,000% avoidable. And to be honest, Adam and I have had the tennis coach on. We have talked to the tennis coach. We've went to the tennis matches. We've been there. When we used to direct a whole show on the women's athletics, and we had tennis athletes and the coaches on. So we've been there. But when you cut a program fully, and guess what, Adam, give them the news about the men's program.
The men's program that has just been cut is in the national tournament, and I believe they play Cornell this week in Fort Worth. So I truly hope, and is it going to happen? Probably not, but it would be the craziest thing if the men's tennis team just decided to go off and win the national championship as their program's being cut.
And remind me again, what was Hunter Yurachek's message? What was the reasoning behind cutting the program?
That I didn't even see his press release.
Oh man, it's very similar to what he said about the football. We're not set up financially to compete.
One bit.
We are not financially set to compete on an SEC and national level. As your men's team made the national tournament, it's not fair to those kids.
No,
but those kids. The same thing about the football program. And when Sam Pittman was here, you went down there and said they're not financially set up to win a national championship. So are you going to cut the football program? I mean, if that's your excuse, and this is why people get pissed off at Hunter Yurachek, and I've been going back and forth with a super fan today. He's going to play the damn fiddle, riding the ship as this thing sinks. But in the message I told him before we come on the show, that is the circle of the fan base that needs to speak up. They sit there and they act like they're so scared to say something against the university because of their social status, where they sit in this circle of fans. They are so worried. They don't want to stand up and tell the truth. They'll be the band that rides down as the Titanic sinks when they're wondering why everybody is saying Hunter Yurachek sucks is doing his job. And their fireback is, well, he don't just sit in an office. No, he's too busy being on the college football committee. He wants to put a second video board up at the baseball stadium, but he wants to cut the tennis program. He wants to deny a chance of somebody doing a Razorback raffle. He does it himself. How much money is that costing them a year? How much does Remy Cofield cost them a year? How much is Link U costing him a year? And you wonder why we keep getting pissed off. And you put me on this soapbox every month because he keeps doing stupid ass decisions like this and doing away with the whole program. And one of them's in a national tournament.
You said the magic word. So the raffle that started this morning for the Ole Miss game, It's currently at $585 jackpot, which I know it just started this morning. But yeah, there we go. The thing with some of the fans that are backing this or defending it or whatever the case may be, I think a lot of it with some of them is just the simple fact of either they don't want to have their seats taken. Not saying that they necessarily would be. They enjoy sitting in student sections or in the front row or being on TV or whatever the case may be. And it would ruin it if they would go against the university. And it's hilarious to me, though, that you have fans that are like this, and like him or not, because I know a lot of folks have a love-hate relationship with Ruskin and Zach, but here they sat on my drive home defending the tennis teams on how absurd this is. So you have two guys that are working for ESPN Arkansas that have these shows reporting on Arkansas every single day, and you've got fans more scared to speak their mind than two radio hosts.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous.
Look, but you know what? That's why I like their show, because you know what? And I'll tell you this: I can't disclose how I know the information, but that is the most popular show in the state of Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
It is. And there's so many people who hate it, but if you hate it, you're watching it, you're listening to it. You're still listening and paying attention to them. They are the most listened to show in the state of Arkansas.
Oh, yeah. And I agree with Matt Hart here. We would have more money if we didn't have buyouts to pay.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
there's a number of things on his hands. I mean, Mandel, what was Stuart Mandel, I think, was the one that you're paying a guy not to coach more than 3 times what it was to generate revenue for the tennis program.
And I imagine these tennis players too were kind of like a lot of the baseball players were like, hey, let's get you an academic scholarship because we can't give you an athletic scholarship.
Well, that's the thing. They have honored transplanted Texans sent me this. They're going to honor their athletic stuff. So again, I love the gesture. I really love the gesture that they are doing to make this right. But in essence, if it's going to take 3 years with the scholarships and amenities being honored for the players to start this, why are you cutting? It makes no sense to say you're cutting the program to save money if you're still going to honor this and spend the money. Also, I read an article today from Matt Brown. He broke this down. If you want to, we've got it linked on our Twitter account. If there is players on this tennis roster, and let's go roster, they have one, let's see, Slovenia, France, Israel, Australia, Spain, Czech Republic, Slovakia. So they got 2 kids in the United States on the men's roster. So on the women's roster, you have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of the girls are in the United States. So how many of these players are paying full tuition to be on the tennis team? So by the article, if just 4 of these players were paying full tuition, that is generating $211,000 for the university that they're not including. How is that fair to punish the tennis program and saying they're not bringing in revenue? They're bringing in a mere $3,200 of revenue when you have at least 4 or 5 kids paying full tuition. That's $250,000 a year that they're bringing in.
Well, and
it makes no sense.
This kind of goes backtrack a little bit. When they took away walk-ons in football. So it's basically scholarship or nothing. So we add scholarships to an already gigantic football roster to eliminate the whole walk-on status. And then you just took away the sports of 20 kids. Or, it just doesn't make sense to me. And I'm not trying to crap on the football program or how many roster spots they have or whatever, because they're just working with whatever the rules that apply to them. They're saying, hey, this is how many spots you get. Okay, cool. We're going to go fill it. But what is it, like 105 or 85? One or the other. It shifted or whatever. But you're telling me that 85 of those are getting full rides while y'all can't figure out this little, 20 student athletes in tennis?
Yeah. I'm looking it up right now. Well, another thing. Look at the program, the state of the football program. You're doing this from a 200 or a 2-10 football team. And a team, you're cutting a program that you're not going to rebuild next year.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was a knee-jerk reaction. You could have waited. But you know what? We still don't have naming rights for a football stadium. So are you punishing the tennis program for your crappy job? That's the thing that irritates me. Would you have cut the tennis program if you'd had naming rights for your football? Would you have cut the tennis program if Saracen was running your raffle right now at no cost and the money went to NIL instead of the Razorback Foundation?
And let's go back to how long have we been hearing that the naming rights deal is basically done, but y'all haven't announced anything? That means you haven't gotten a check. That means nothing is done.
Yeah. And I guarantee if they did it, it probably wouldn't go into effect till first of the year. I don't know how long it takes to get that money.
Well, yeah. And I honestly feel like if they came out and announced it now, it would be 2027 season before we'd see it on the stadium. So the whole thing is just weird. And the tennis athletic program, they're the ones that are basically being the scapegoats of this.
Mm-hmm. To answer your question, it is 105 scholarship players.
105,
yeah, 105.
Do we need 105 football players?
Oh,
on a 2-10 football team?
No.
And I'm not trying to take away from anything from those players because the football team is working with the parameters that they're given. But at the same time, it's just kind of like, you're going to cut 2 programs. Meanwhile, y'all are like cool with having 105 scholarship football players who will consume more food, more everything than those 20 players. It does not add up.
And I know, look, and it's the world we live in, and we know it's going to happen eventually. If it's going to happen, I want there to be a legitimate reason.
Mm-hmm.
I want there to be justification for it. There's no justification for this. There's no reasoning behind it. And I'll say this. I don't care what program it is. If they cut any program, we would be defending it because you're not doing everything to prevent this. And you're just doing away with the program again, that you have a team in the national tournament that you said was not fit to be a national tournament. And I guarantee you, he probably didn't even realize that. He probably didn't know that he probably didn't even know that the men's, and to be honest, we could say the same thing. I didn't know, you didn't know, but we're not the ones sitting there cutting the program. You're the athletic director. And I guarantee you, he felt like an idiot when he cuts the program. He's like, oh, they're playing in the national tournament. So you know what? I'm rooting for them. I've got a small little, I don't know if you can see right there next to hold on. Right there, next to the helmet, Arkansas, my little banner right there.
Hey, go to, chopsonrazorback.com, go to Hog Heaven, go to wherever else and buy up all the Arkansas tennis shirts just to promote and support them. Just go buy up everything Arkansas tennis online.
Shop tennis. Let's get the hashtag shop tennis.
Yeah, I'll get it up here.
That's what we should do. Everybody listening, and we'll put it out there. We'll go out and I'll buy one tomorrow. I'll buy an Arkansas tennis shirt tomorrow. I think that'd be a good thing. If you want to help support that'd be a great idea. And we'll make sure when other people mention that, you get the credit. We'll clip it. We need to clip that up. Let's just tell everybody to go buy a tennis shirt this week.
Go find your Arkansas tennis shirt wherever and support them.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous at this point.
Yes, and again, it's one of those that, and I know Kyle will be on here in a little bit, and we'll get to his segment after a break. But it does take away from a lot of good things that are going on. We were ready to talk about the spring game. Coach Gal's doing good with his recruiting class, and there might be signs that it's not done yet. But yeah, he landed a great recruit, and it's one of them that he's getting bigs, but it's not the true bigs. They're stretch fours. But I think he is setting himself up. He's going all in on his style of basketball, and we have to accept that. We talked about it last year. He's not going to get true bigs, and to be honest, and I'll say this. This is where I'll back him up. I don't think they want to invest the money on somebody that's going to give them 12-4 or 10-2 or 8-6. I think that all these bigs, they're overvalued, and they're trying to get $4 and $5 million a year to go grab 12 rebounds and score maybe 8 to 10 points. So I do have to back him. So he is making the most of what he's doing, but we have to, in return, understand he's going guard heavy. He's going to spend all his money on the guards and do this with these stretch fours and put them down low. So you never know. He could win the national. And Aaron Torres was talking about Duke. I mean, you think if Duke wouldn't have made that boneheaded decision there against UConn, could they have won the national championship? We don't know. But other than that, I mean, you don't need the bigs to win if they would have pulled it through. So question, what was that?
And we'll get into Mika Murinen more in the next segment. But, I will say, though, out of the 2026 class, and this has been said across multiple channels and outlets, that Mika Murinen is one of the most pro-ready prospects in this 2026 class. Yes, there are some attitude concerns, teammate concerns, if you will, but at the same time, if anybody can wrangle that in and deal with a personality like that, I think it's John Calipari. So I expect big things from Slim Jesus whenever he hits Fayetteville.
Yeah. And I had just did a boo-boo. I just now sent Kyle the link.
So it'll take a couple minutes. We'll get through our commercial break.
So I told him now. I just sent the link just now. So that is on me. We will have Kyle on, but we'll take a quick commercial break. We'll talk about some stuff, fill in the gap between now and when Kyle Sutherland of Hawg Beat comes on. So I apologize for that one. That one's on me, but we'll be right back after a commercial break.
Searching for premium brewery products that will take your daily routine to the next level? Look no further than Sterling Soap Company. Our handmade soaps, aftershaves, and balms are made with only the finest ingredients that give you the ultimate grooming experience. With a variety of scents to choose from, there's something for everyone. Plus, our products are crafted in small batches to ensure the highest level of quality. So why wait? Visit www.sterlingsoap.com or visit our retail store at 16 West Walnut Street in Paris, Arkansas. Shop our collection and discover the difference for yourself. Upgrade your grooming routine with Sterling Soap Company. Are you looking for a place to grab a cold drink and some delicious food? Look no further than Arkansas Brewing Company. Located at 201 South 1st Street in beautiful downtown Ozark, our establishment offers a wide selection of craft beers and tasty eats. But what sets us apart is our welcoming atmosphere and friendly staff. At Arkansas Brewing Company, you'll always feel like part of the family. So visit Destiny and Christopher Brockett and staff today and see for yourself what makes us the go-to spot for locals and visitors alike. Arkansas Brewing Company, come for the drinks and stay for the friends. Attention DIYers and home improvement enthusiasts. Are you searching for the right tools and supplies to tackle your next project? Look no further than Mentor's Hardware Store. With locations in Ozark, Alma, and Clarksville, our vast selection of hardware and building materials is sure to have everything you need. Whether you're fixing a leaky faucet or building a new deck, most of our knowledgeable staff is always on hand to offer expert advice and guidance. And with our competitive prices and convenient online ordering, Mentor's Hardware Store is your one-stop shop for all your DIY needs. Visit us today and let's build something amazing together.
Are you looking to take your career to the next level? Look no further than ATU Ozark Campus. As a 2-year satellite campus of Arkansas Tech University, we're dedicated to a quality workforce education, industry partnerships for in-demand jobs, and tailored paths for success. Our programs are led by industry professionals. Whether it's a certificate or you're aiming for a graduate degree, ATU Ozark has you covered. Visit our website at www.atu.edu/Ozark or contact us at 479-667-2117. Your future begins here. Welcome to Ozark Area Chamber of Commerce, where our mission is simple: encourage, promote, and aid an enduring environment of shared economic opportunity and civic development for the Ozark, Arkansas area. Whether you're a local business owner or a resident, we've got something for you. Shop our unique local businesses, explore the beauty of Ozark, and savor local flavors and find cozy accommodations. Join us in building a stronger community. And to learn more, contact us at 479-667-2525. Remember, together we thrive. And welcome back to the Hawg podcast. And we are joined now by the publisher of hogbeat.com, Kyle Sutherland. Kyle, I got to apologize for a moment. I was too busy worried about Adam talking me off this ledge about the tennis program. Look up and thought, man, where's Kyle? He ain't popped in yet. I ain't even seen any link. So that was totally on me. So I appreciate you being there waiting for my email.
Oh, no worries, man. I was at my computer anyways. I was kind of watching the last little bit here before y'all hit the break. So it all worked out. No problem at all.
So you seen the rant when we were talking about the tennis program and all that good stuff. All right.
I did. I think I was maybe about 2 minutes late, but I was prepping some dinner for when we get done off here. And then I did hear it. You know, it's a weird deal. I mean, I agree with you guys. It's just, and look, as somebody, and Porter, I owe you a lot of credit for this, as somebody who has started to be more of a supporter of Olympic sports, who promotes women's sports, all those different things. It's very frustrating to see these athletes not have any more opportunities, at least at Arkansas, to compete. And it's, with Juracek, there's so many things that, and I agree with you about how he does things that we don't really get. And I know that it's not his job to just explain everything and anything to everyone, but I think that we deserve a little bit more than we get. Like, for instance, last year, look, Remy Cofield seems like a great guy, and he might be really good at his job. I don't know, because we don't ever hear anything about him. But we did a press conference last July with him, and it's one of those, and again, it's not his fault, but it's like it could have been just an email, basically. Like, every question that was asked, he just wasn't able to answer. And again, I can't say enough. It's not necessarily his fault. It's just like, that's just the way that it is. Yeah. So why did they do this? Did they do it to help the football, to basically put a dent? $2.5 million will get you an elite player, but that's one. And now it might help you a lot more in basketball, but did they do it to maybe put more towards like volleyball or golf, or what is there? What is the reason? I'm just throwing stuff up against the wall here. What is it? Like, that's the biggest question here. And so I think that's probably why most people are upset, is that 20-ish athletes did lose their spot with the Razorbacks, but we just don't know the actual reason why, and we probably won't.
Were you surprised to learn and find out that the men's team had made the national tournament after Hunter Yurchek's reasoning for cutting the program was they weren't set up to compete on a national level?
Not really, just because, and I think you touched on it, whenever Pittman, like twice throughout, so at the touchdown club, I mean, he really made himself look not smart in that, like, what was that, in September, early September. And then, like, I think you pointed out this too, or one of you guys did, about how when Pittman got fired, or like whatever, however you want to phrase it, they basically said that they don't have the funds to compete in the SEC. He said that twice. He did say it. So it's like, that also too just kind of goes back to the lack of fundraising. Like, you can't raise $2.5 million. That should be easy for you to do.
Well, you've been in sales. You've done sales. You've done sales and roofing. So you think about this, and I was going back and forth with a fan. You get given the whole state of Arkansas, and you're the only roofing company in the state, and you can't raise $10 million for your roofing company or sell $10 million worth of shingles, would you have a job?
Absolutely not. No, well, and that's the thing too. And Porter, you sent me I forget the gentleman's name, the article that you sent me, but there was a lot of really, actually, I got it right here. So I don't want to shortchange him. Matt Brown from Extra Points had a lot of, if you haven't read that article, a lot of really great points in there, and really breaks it down well. But one of the things that he did talk about in there, one of the multiple things that he did touch on, was the fact that a lot of these kids are international. I think there was one from Arkansas. There was one that was actually from the United States of America. So they're used to paying, like they have the funds to pay for this. So it could be paid by, less scholarships. And I don't think that would be an issue in Olympic sports, So I think that there is multiple ways that you could have salvaged this program. But again, Yurichek's just going to come out and make a statement. He loves to put everything. I don't believe that he put it on social. He likes to put everything on social media. I don't think I saw this on there. I could be wrong. I've been very busy with spring sports cover or spring practice coverage and the red white game and all that. So I might have missed that. Forgive me, Hunter, if I did, but it's just that we just get a standard explanation. And so he did. Okay. I see that. Transplanted Texan, a great account to follow, by the way. Great information. So I didn't see it, but just because I didn't see it didn't mean it didn't happen. But there we go. There's other people that are backing that as well.
All right, now we helped you talk me off the ledge. I'm calmed down now. We'll get to the meat and potatoes of the interview. Going to the spring game, I had a buddy of mine that actually went to the spring game, and he just came away just kind of disappointed from just everything that was the spring game, the red-white game, how they grouped everything out, how they split people up, the tug-of-war game, he told me, and he was trying not to laugh when he told me that 12 college students beat 5 offensive linemen in a tug-of-war competition. But then there was a punt pass competition that was just – it went awry. Nothing about this. He said they roped off the shaded side, and he was sitting in the heat the whole time. So he just said he was very underwhelmed by the team. He said Braylon Russell was the only bright spot, really, of the spring game, in his opinion. So kind of get your takeaways from it, and how does Arkansas build from that, going from the spring game into fall summer camp?
Yeah, I know there was, especially with the tug of war, there was a lot of people that were pretty upset or whatever about that. And I mean, I understand like where the team is coming from, just because they're trying to get a buy-in, trying to do all these different deals that they can. But as far as the team, I was a little bit surprised that they went like 1s and 2s on the same team and things like that. But at the same time, that also made me think, because every spring practice, every spring game that you hear about, you take it with a grain of salt, because it is, at the end of the day, it's still March, April, or I guess April in this case. You're right on the verge of May. You still got summer workouts. You still got all the fall camp. So I try not to judge that good or bad one way or the other. I just try to take everything into fall camp, like just with an open mind. But then you think about, Braylon Russell has been really good this spring. Cam Settles is one that they've talked about a lot. I think that the offensive line is going to be a strength when it's all said and done, because you added 2 really good pieces to Kobe Branham and Caden Kittler that are coming back. And so, but the defense, I think that the defense doing well it could be a good sign. We've seen that before, and it didn't end up turning out the way that we wanted it to. But if you get some sort of support, like if David Oki comes back strong, like last year just wasn't good for him really in any regard with the injuries. And I think there was some things maybe mentally that weren't clicking. But if you get any kind of support for Quincy Rhodes, you get somebody at the jack, because they got 3 guys that they like at the jack position that can rotate in and out. Linebacker, it's a little sketchy for me right now. I know they talk highly of Bradley Shaw. I like what we saw from Wyatt Simmons at the end last year, but that's probably the position I'm most concerned about on the team overall is linebacker. Defensive back or secondary, it can't get much worse than what we saw. And you think about Lakai Rowland and Ohio State being one of the final schools in the mix for him. Joker Johnson, I really like a lot. Guys like Christian Harrison comes from a great pedigree and is a good player. One that I'm really watching in the secondary is Miguel Mitchell. It's pretty much like this is his final season. This is his 5th season playing in the SEC. You don't have to be an all SEC player. You just have to be a really good leader, and you have to not miss tackles. He missed the 3rd most tackles on the team last year. Like, that's just not acceptable. You are a veteran in this league, and you have to be a leader for that group. So I kind of broke down a few different, I know I'm mostly focused on defense right there, but I think one thing that has really been encouraging, one of the few things that's been encouraging, is I've heard secondary coach Darren Wilson talk about how he wants all of his guys to know each position. He wants the star, which star is kind of that hybrid role that we've heard Ron Roberts and some of the position coaches talk about. He wants his star positions to know what the corners are doing. He wants the left cornerback to know what the right cornerback, free safety and strong safety, and so forth. CJ Brown played a position, he played in the slot that he's not as used to playing, and they're really not accustomed to playing at all in the spring game. So you're seeing these players be held accountable for knowing not just their exact position, but really their entire unit, which if you're smarter at other positions and you know what your guys are doing and you hold that accountability, then things are typically going to work out better for you. So I don't think it's going to be a 2-win season, but I'm not necessarily saying it's going to be an 8-win season either. Will they make a bowl? I don't know. Obviously, bowl games don't mean what they once did. So kind of a long-winded way of saying that, just kind of breaking a few things down that I noticed there. I think that quarterback, I'm a little bit, what could happen right there as well? I'd probably say maybe behind linebacker. That's my most concerning position. But all in all, I think that this has a chance to be a pretty good team, or decent team at least, particularly because you do have some talent. But I think the fact that people are happy. There were a lot of people that just weren't happy last year. That was not a bad football team that they fielded. It was a very undisciplined and somewhat unhappy. You think about the amount of one-score games that they lost. Yeah. So, and obviously a lot of those guys are gone now. But I don't make too much of spring games. Again, I've been like that for years, just because you just never know. Like when things are going really well, I try not to get too up about that. But when things are going really, really bad, I try to be the same way. So yeah. I think, between CJ Brown, Steven Souls had a really good game. I'm going to call him Song because nobody can pronounce his name, but he had that long interception return for a touchdown. You saw some really good things, but you also saw some kind of off the wall things like tug of war and all those.
Yeah. I've said since, I guess, really the press conference when KJ Jackson, announced that he was coming back, that it was going to be his job to lose, essentially. Just looking at the stats, obviously, because we have no video of anything, but, KJ going 9 of 13, 129 yards and 1 touchdown. And I think the more concerning thing, to an extent, if this is a competition, was AJ Hill going 9 for 17 for 95 yards and an interception. Is the quarterback room maybe not what some folks think it's going to be?
Well, I think it's definitely the coin flip that Silverfield has talked about between AJ and KJ. But I'm with you, Adam. I think that it's certainly from the beginning was his to lose. AJ, he's a talented quarterback, as far as being highly rated coming out of high school, all those things. And you look at the little bit of playing time that he did get last year, particularly, and I know UAB wasn't a good football team, but him coming off the bench in relief and dang near leading them to a victory in that one. I think they lost by 6 or 7 points. So you like the fact that when his number was called in the little bit of time that he got, for the most part, he delivered in the big picture. But yeah, and look, Braden Fuller has a lot of experience at the D2 level. I don't know that he's been quite the same since he had that injury after he had been the Harlan Hill finalist and all that. But yeah, I'll say this, guys, and I'm not trying to open up a massive can of worms, but how nice would it be to have Kane Archer on this just to provide. Now, I'm not saying he would have been the starter, but I'm saying, like, for him to come in as an Arkansas kid, obviously we knew that, and we know, and I'll tell you, the kid between the ears is as smart as any quarterback that I've ever covered. And I'm not saying that he would be in the 1 and 2 mix, but I'm saying just to be in that room and to provide maybe a little bit more competition than, and I know Cade Trotter's a walk on and all those different things, but I don't know that they really did. Past AJ and KJ, I don't know. You can talk about Braden Fuller's experience and all that stuff all you want, but I don't know that they did a very good job of the quarterback position, as a whole. And maybe they just wanted really it to be between KJ and AJ, and then you have a guy like a Braden, just because, again, I keep going back to the experience. But yeah, quarterback, I would say linebacker again is the position that I'm concerned about the most. And then right behind that is quarterback. I mean, just right behind there. And if it wasn't KJ there on campus, somebody that's been very loyal to the program, someone that does have someone that does have an SEC playing experience, then I'd probably have quarterback at the top, no matter, and it wouldn't even be close. But we'll see what happens.
One quick thing. Sorry. This is just what ifs. We're going to play the what if game real quick. If Kane Archer had came to Fayetteville, would we have a Mitch Mustaine 2.0 situation with the fans on, chanting his name when one of the other quarterbacks is down and out?
Probably so, just because, and the thing is too about Kane, he lost his final game as a high school. Shiloh Christian beat Greenwood, so it's always, especially when you win. He was on a 39 game win streak or something. So when you finally lose a game, you break. It's like Alabama football a few years ago. They were dominant for so long. Winning wasn't enough. You had to blow people out. So because he went to Utah, obviously not. I mean, if he would have gotten the Arkansas offer, I think we all probably know where he would be. But I think because he went to Utah, Greenwood lost the state championship game, all that stuff just kind of, and just the fact that he moved on and went to somewhere else, that kind of all just fizzled out. But yeah, I think that would probably be the case. Maybe not so much at the spring game, but if let's say you get to the season and KJ is struggling and AJ comes in and things aren't going well, that would probably be that. I do think that. And again, I don't even know that I don't think that he's going to be in the starting mix at Utah. So they still got some things to learn. There's no question about it. But I just think that I think that there are other, and I was throwing Kane out there just as an example, but I do think that there are other options that they could have brought in that could have provided maybe a little bit deeper of a competition. And look, I've only seen a little bit of practice, and we've had somebody at practice every time that the media has been able to watch, and we only see so much. There's still a lot to find out, but I'll just being completely honest, I wasn't overly impressed with what they did with the quarterback room.
And in a roundabout way, and this is where we can kind of read the tea leaves. Was he saying that he was going mix things up because he truly doesn't know who his ones and twos are, which is not a knock. I mean, he's not been there long enough to really kind of evaluate what he has. So, I like the play on it of saying, well, we're just going to put this guy who we might think might be the one left guard with first or the second right tackle, whatever. But it could be a play on, he just don't know who all his two people, his depth chart is.
So I asked whenever Ron Roberts told us that in the press conference last month, I guess a week ago, I reached out to a Power 4 offensive line coach, and I reached out to a very heralded high school offensive line coach. I asked both, I said, don't you need to probably get the ones that you feel like are your ones meshing? Because defensive line, and an offensive line, you're going to have a rotation too. They talked about how they wanted to have at least 7 or 8. But I asked both of them, and both of them said, if I'm making the decision, then my ones are all playing together. The ones, the guys that I believe are going to be your ones come fall camp. Both of those guys, very heralded high school coach, and also a Power 4 offensive line coach as well. So I like the fact that obviously you want your quarterbacks to be on different teams. That's fine. Yeah. You got some running back, Cam said, I'm just saying Cam Settles and Braylon and Sutton didn't get any carries. Silverfield said that was a reasoning. They also said that that they were not going to play down the stretch last year. He also said that Sutton Smith didn't play for whatever reason, but we can all make our own judgment on that. But putting Cam Settles and Braylon Russell on different teams, I understand that. Putting receivers, but offensive linemen, that's why I reached out to people that are a lot smarter about this than I am. And because
when I was looking at it, I was looking at, he put KJ Jackson with Crutchfield Brown, a lot of his quarterback with a lot of the ones. So me and Adam were talking about that. Okay, I see the rhythm. You need a lot of reps and repetition through that. That's one of the ones you can't do in just drills. So that's what made me think, okay, he's doing ones and twos, or mixing it up, but how he did KJ Jackson with the receiving core, that made sense because we kind of know who his number one guy is. But it just made you think of, that he's really trying to, and I gave Adam, and you've known me for 8-9 years now. Ryan Silverfield's all in and how I am with Clemson and Dabo, and that was his saying since 2008. So I'd give him a little razz about bringing that all in when I've heard that since 2008. I thought that the gimmick he's doing there, but it's he wants to come in and do a job, and I don't think he's been handed a full deck. So this year one for me, house money. I told Adam they could go in whatever. It's house. I just think he needs to build his program, and we need to give him at least 1 year in this situation because I can't remember a team coming into a season where there's so many questions on who's going to be your true lineup.
Yeah, no, I agree with you wholeheartedly, Porter. And that's the thing. That's why I was talking with Wes Moore and I were talking about that recently. And like with how many new players that you have. And I know that with the portal and everything like that, you have to, and especially in today's landscape, then like you have to pretty much win immediately. So I understand why he came in, and they talked about, now, what does that win immediately mean? Does that mean 6 wins in a bowl? Does that mean 7 wins in a bowl game gets you 8? Like, what exactly does that mean? So I do agree with you, because like there's over 60 new faces, and Silverfield has talked about how they don't want to do that. Like, this is the only year that they want to add that many out of the portal. Ideally, you go back to in some ways the old school mentality of the recruiting the high school guys, developing them. So that's not the way that they want to build the roster every year moving forward. I mean, I think any coach would probably, especially in football, when you've got way more bodies on a team, probably wouldn't want to do that. So yeah, as long as it's just not completely disastrous. Like if it's like a Chad Morris, I know there's some people that say Silverfield's Chad Morris 2.0, all those different things. If it's like a 2-10 season, I'm just speaking completely hypothetically. If it's a 2-10 season and you're just getting your brains beat in and all those different things, not a 2-10 season like last year where you lose a lot of ones. That was completely different. It's still unacceptable, but completely different. But I just feel like as long as it just doesn't completely fall off the rails, you do have to be patient. Now, he might not have done himself a favor by coming in and immediately saying that they're going to win immediately. But again, what are you supposed to say in today's landscape? Exactly. Kurt Cignetti has set the bar so high for everybody. I mean, set the bar, unrealistic, really expectations for everybody. So it's no longer this, oh, we'll get this guy in, we'll give him 2-3 years to get his players, get his development. It's those days are long gone, especially at the Power 4 level. So, but yeah, I do think you have to give the guy a little bit of leniency, just because so many, and even the faces that are back, like Braylon Russell has a lot of experience, Caden Kittler, Quincy Rhodes, all those different things. You like, there's still like the Cam Settles of the world, the KJ Jacksons of the world that don't have a ton of experience. So I think that they're like, you don't want it to come out and just look absolutely piss poor atrocious. That would be a problem. But the big measuring stick for me is going to be on September 12th. Like, you expect them to take care of business against North Alabama. You go to Utah, and if you go there and like at the very least you want to, and I know fans are so sick and tired of hearing this, you want to see them just compete and take it to the end, whether the scoreboard says win or loss. But then you got a Georgia team that's going to want, look, I don't care what anybody says, Kirby Smart is going to use, that was really, look, I like Silverfield. I sent him a text as soon as he got hired, and he hit me back within less than 5 minutes. I mean, like, he was very nice. I thought that was pretty cool with how busy he was. Now, look, whether he's nice or not is not going to depend on whether he wins ball games. But I'm just saying, I like Ryan personally, and I think I admire some of the things that he's done so far. But that was a really stupid thing to say, what he said about Georgia, like just a random stray out of nowhere. And that's going to be used. You don't think Kirby Smart is not going to be playing that throughout his locker room? Yeah. If he has a chance, he's going to put 70 up on this guy. So, and that's the thing too. Silverfield probably knew. He talked about how he had previous chances to coach in the SEC, so he probably knew he was going to be there one day. So that just was a really stupid thing to say, like for any coach to say that I mean, especially if you have a chance at going up against Georgia. So starting 2-0 is very crucial, because then you've got that Georgia game. I mean, yeah, it goes without saying it's crucial, but that's going to be the measuring stick. Like, they can't go out and lay an egg, obviously, against North Alabama, but you do, like I said, you expect them to handle business. Then what will they look like against Utah? That's when I think that we're really going to see where this team is in the early stages under Silverfield.
Yeah, and even that Tulsa game, I told Adam, I mean, do not be surprised if Tulsa sneaks up and gives them a hard game or wins. But I did tell him, the silver lining is if you get past Tennessee, we don't know what Vanderbilt's going to be post Pavia. I mean, and then you have Drink in Missouri, and then you have Auburn in South Carolina. I mean, they could make a competitive season out of this, and respectable season out of this. They do have a chance at that. But it just depends on how this goes. But Kyle, it's always really good having you on, man. I really appreciate you coming on, talk spring game. I'm sure we'll have you on again sometime in the summer when you've had a chance to evaluate the team and we really see what this team's about and do a preseason coverage show with you.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Anytime. Hey, man, the Hawg Talk is it opened up a lot of doors for me. I mean, I wouldn't be, not that I'm anything big by any means, but I wouldn't be where I am without.
You just changed the second part of your name. You went from Hawg Talk to Hawg Beat. So,
yeah,
I mean,
exactly. Yeah, well,
with
with a little bit of a mix of high school in there, that was a really hard decision to leave.
Beat. I think Talk's underneath the beat on that shirt. He duct taped over it.
Yeah. It's got yeah. So
we are proud of you, man. We're proud
of Talk opened up a lot. I mean, it opened up a lot of doors for a lot of people, and so I wouldn't be, at this point without it. So no, always happy to join you guys. It's always a lot of fun.
I appreciate you, man. Good luck. Best of you covering this team this year, man.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure.
Appreciate you.
Have a good man.
Fellas, appreciate y'all. See you. Bye.
That was Kyle Sutherland, publishing editor of hogbeat.com. Always awesome to have him on and come on and break down the football team and the spring game and expectations. So we'll wrap things up with Cal. I know, Adam, you wanted to add some things on the basketball and the recruiting and just the class that Cal is putting together and in this show on a very bright spot of just how historic this recruiting class could become.
Well, currently now with adding Mika Murinen today, Arkansas now sits number 1 in the recruiting class for 2026. Mika Murinen is one of the most pro NBA ready. And I say pro NBA because, European, overseas, pro leagues, whatnot. He's the most NBA ready prospect that a lot of different outlets are reporting on. He is a guy that can be me first. He is a guy that has had some attitude issues, if you will, but I think some of that does come from the type of play overseas mixed with the type of play over here in America. I think there's just a disconnect between the two. So I think you've got a guy that wears his heart on his sleeve, wears his, he speaks his mind, whether it's in another language or not. You might not understand it, but he is one that I've seen. We posted a video on Hawg HQ last night, and yes, most of the video, the minute-long video, was just of dunks. And there's a lot of people questioning him. His shot, he's not shooting from the top of the key. He's not this, he's not that. And the first thing that pops in my head is some of those that are, hey, where's his shot at? Which he can shoot the 3, but y'all are also the same folks that are wanting this dominant big man. So here we are. We've added another stretch 4 at 7 foot. You have him listed anywhere from 6 foot to 7'1", depending on where, or 6'10" to 7 foot, depending on what you're looking at. But it's a guy that plays at the rim. It's a guy that gets to the rim, whether that's off alley-oops or dunks himself or fast breaks. He runs the court better than any other 7-footer you're going to see.
He would be what we wanted Big Z. What we seen kind of the flashes and glimpses of Big Z at Illinois this year.
He's Big Z on steroids when it comes to his type of play. I think that Murinen is more of what we wanted to see consistently, because we did see glimpses of it from Trevin Brazil. I do think that Trevin Brazil shoots the 3 better than Mika Murinen does, but from just the running the floor, the dunks, all the other things outside of the 3-point shot, I think Mika is what we wanted Brazil to be in that stretch 4 position. I will give Brazil the edge on shooting 3. But Mika Murinen is going to bring another aspect that we have not seen at the University of Arkansas. And especially when you're going to have Abdou Toure and Jordan Smith Jr. throwing him lobs, it's going to be Lob City 100% this next season. And then if you add back Malik Thomas,
God, if
you're already going to take a great roster, and then you have the possibility of still returning Malik Thomas, and I'm pretty certain you're going to return Billy Richmond. It's insane how good this roster could be next season.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what you want. You want Slack. What did we like so much about Acuff? He went to the rack. Billy Richmond went to the rack.
Mm-hmm.
You look at JD Note. What about him? Went to the rack.
Mhm.
I mean, they could score, but we love the ones that could go to the rack. And guess what? That also contributes to free throw shooting. You get to the line, you have a guaranteed bucket that's going to be another person to get the team in foul trouble. You're not having one guy do that all. That was the one critique I had about Malik was he would drive in the mid around the elbow and the free throw line, but that it would be free throw line extended. That was it. He would sometimes go to the rack, but he wouldn't. He would always do the mid range. If you have a guy that can now, you have somebody you can lob to, and he's not afraid to go to the basket and draw contact. I will take that over him doing and stepping out, because that's what I missed about Brazil was, yes, he would go out and hit a corner three or the top of three, but he would do that maybe 1 or 2 times a game. I would much rather somebody I know that's going to go to the rim 8 to 9 times a game, draw contact, and be a dog, be somebody that they fear going to the rack and get the points, opposed to they're standing and being a corner. They're standing on the corner just out there on an island.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see what this team's going to be.
And as Transplanted Texas pointed out, one of the biggest things is Hogs got them and Kentucky didn't.
Yes,
So,
absolutely. And they really thought that they were going to get him. So and that's another win for Arkansas.
definitely.
But Adam, to wrap things up, man, we're really leaning on basketball, and that's it right now. We hope baseball turns things around. We really do. There's the hope. But if you have not read that article from Matt Brown, please go on our Twitter page. Great article on breaking down, the rev share and stuff like that. And then, you can't not think about Jocelyn, who just entered the transfer portal, the star gymnast. How does that play into things? I know there's a lot of people saying she wanted to go, train with her fellow teammates at Georgia and get ready for the Olympics. I understand that. But the word doesn't make sense is you're leaving an Olympic gold medalist to go train with. So it's almost like softening the blow a little bit. Where does NIL come in that? Because the report we've seen estimated the whole team gets $35,000 from the rev share. That leaves it at $1,900 per gymnast. What if somebody's coming in and throwing a bag?
Yeah.
What effect does that have? We're going to start seeing the trickle effect. Don't think this whole tennis thing's going away, because it's going to start affecting other people. And if they see Arkansas do it and they're seeing the backlash from it, and they're going to see it's just temporary, they're going to start doing the same thing. So it's good that, Hunter's being a trailblazer in that sense,
But, he was also the trailblazer on having the first NIL collective.
Yeah.
So
But
we saw how that worked out.
Exactly. Now you're in collective number 2? You're on wife number 2. 3, wife number 3.
Yeah.
So, Adam, you got anything else?
Nope. I'm good.
All right. Well, that will do it for this episode of the Hawg Talk podcast. For Adam Hall, I'm Porter Hayes. Thank you for everybody for tuning in, and we will catch you on Thursday.